All right, those are the victory horns, ladies and gentlemen, and they sound for Alexandre Pantoja, still the flyweight champion of the world. Also sounds for the King of Rio, Jose Aldo, coming back, vintage form, beating Jonathan Martinez via unanimous decision. But the big question surrounding the night, and it's still being asked here at the Vox Media Studios here in New York City, did Vincenzo Erceg give away the UFC flyweight title in the final 2 minutes of UFC 301? We will discuss that and much more here on the UFC 301 post-fight show. I am Mike Heck. Thank you for joining us. We got a crew here. First, Mr. Hot Take, Mr. No Gray Area, the Cannonball Kid himself, Jed Meshew. Jed, how we doing?
The GOAT won. We're doing amazing. Not only did the GOAT win, the GOAT won and then said he wasn't retiring. This is I kind of wish he was retiring, but whatever. This is the best day. And then, the main event was pretty fun. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and tell anyone this is the best card, but certainly the main card was worth your while. So if you paid for that, you can't feel like you got robbed too much for that. So if you got to watch it, some people didn't get to, but we could talk about that later, Mike.
Oh, I don't even know what you're talking about. Seriously, I really have no idea. So you'll have to break some news for me. But also joining us, and it's always an honor when he does so, New York Rick joining us on the post-fight show. How we doing, sir?
Hey, boys. Doing great. I feel like UFC 301 delivered. I feel like it was pretty decent. I enjoyed myself. I had a good time. And it's only 1:20 a.m. here on the East Coast. So, yeah, I'm enjoying myself. I'm happy to be here with you guys.
Yes. As we sort of talked about, lacking of star power outside of the main event. There weren't a ton of stakes here. We did get some story with Jose Aldo coming back, fighting in Rio. And the more I thought about this card, the more I realized like how important to this card Jose Aldo was. And we'll get into his performance in a second. But might as well just break it right out, Jed Meshew. Let's get right to this. I asked the question earlier. It's a question we've still been debating ever since this card ended. Did Steve Erceg give away the UFC flyweight title in the final 2 minutes of this fight? Alexandre Pantoja wins. Fun fight. Erceg was very competitive, landed some good shots. If we're talking pride rules and playground rules, Steve Erceg won that fight, but that's not how it works in the UFC, and that's not how it works in the sports round by round. Pantoja wins 3 rounds on 2 of the judges' cards and wins 4 on another. So the takedown attempt in the final half of the 5th round, did Steve Erceg give away the fight with that takedown attempt?
We're never going to know. Yes, to some extent that directly led to him losing the round and on 2 of the 3 judges' scorecards losing the fight. But it's not like he was dominating that round and then the takedown happened and suddenly the round's over. It is just that in shooting the takedown, he initiated a scramble, which then let Pantoja control the back 2.5 minutes, right? And functionally win the bout. If he hadn't shot, it's entirely possible Pantoja just gets in on the hips later. Because it's not like Erceg was impossible to take down. Pants got him down a bunch that fight. Pants was able to kind of just bully his way into clinches and then start hanging on the back and maybe sneak around to the waist, get a drag down, get an inside trip, get an outside reap. Like he had a different series of events that got there. So we can't ever say that like, if he hadn't shot that takedown, Erceg definitely wins. But it absolutely directly led to him losing. So it's a bit of both, right? Like it definitely blew it, but also it could have been blown anyway. And it's also possible that if he didn't, he would have lost the round. That round was very competitive and close. Neither man had really separated themselves. So bad move, yeah. But also, that's kind of the move you would expect from a dude who has 3 fights in the UFC. Like, he is just very green, and I don't think his coaches did him any favors. And so, like, sometimes experience shows in the worst ways possible at the worst moment. Erceg's clearly pretty down, but like, he's young enough. He'll probably be back. So I don't know how that answers your question, but that's what I got for you.
What do you think, New York Rick? Is one of your biggest takeaways that Steve Erceg, if he just didn't shoot that takedown in the final half of the 5th round, we're having a whole different conversation right now?
I think he'll regret it. To Jed's point, like I definitely don't think that was like a clear start to a round where Erceg was going to roll Pantoja. I think he won the 4th round, and I think he had some momentum there. And I think there's some opportunities on the table if he hadn't done that. But Pantoja is just too good a grappler. It was interesting in the post fight. Cormier asked Erceg like what he thought and what he was surprised by, and he was surprised at how good Pantoja was in the scrambles and the exchanges. I mean, if you're surprised by that, like you haven't really been paying much attention, and that might have cost you in the long run, because he's one of the best at that. Like he's just so good there. And he will regret it probably, because I think on the feet, it seemed like all the momentum was on his side, and it seemed like on all the rounds that primarily took place on the feet, or the moments of action that took place on the feet, he was doing more damage and he was doing better. And so to put it back into Pantoja's realm was a mistake. But again, to Jed's point, like we don't know how the rest of that round plays out. It was too early. It's hard to pin it to that one thing. And I think there's a lot of people out there who would say he won it anyway. I think there's a lot of people who would have scored rounds 2, 3, and 4 for Erceg and said he shouldn't have needed round 5 regardless. So it's too hard to pin it directly to that one specific action and that one specific instance. But I think he will regret not having kept it on the feet.
So when you think back on this, Jed, like if we talk BTL on Thursday and I just straight up ask you, because look, this card is going to be one of those ones that we're just going to quickly move on from, because we got 302 coming up. We got 303. They're going to St. Louis. They're out of the Apex. And we just know how this news cycle works. This is not one of those cards that we're going to be heavily debating, for days after this event. So I'll just ask you now, if it's not that, what's your biggest takeaway from this fight? When you look back upon it, what did you take away the most from this main event? Was it from the Pantoja side, the Erceg side? What do you think?
It's a really good question. I'll stay positive, because I think that I could go 2 ways, and I'll try and go a little more positive. And it's just that Steve Erceg's for real. Like we knew that he was like a legitimate guy who had some actual abilities, right? But when you've only had 3 fights in the UFC, and one of those came against a replacement guy who isn't really well known in the first place, like it's hard to know really where you fit in, like where he just doesn't have the track record of a guy who, like definitely this guy's going to hang around for a long time, be a competitive top 10, top 5 sort of guy. And walking away from this fight, I think that things to improve on, absolutely. But some of the concerns I had from coming into this, I thought he showed improvement on those things. And like with a couple of tweaks, maybe a slightly better game plan, I think he could beat Pantoja tomorrow. And so, I could say some negative things about Pantoja and kind of where this is for him and sort of concerns maybe I have for him. But I think the better, more salient takeaway is just, hey, Steve Erceg's not like some flash in the pan. This is a dude who's going to be a top 15 flyweight for the foreseeable future. He's still only 28 years old, still getting better, and has a lot of good ability. And we saw Steve Erceg have more success on the floor against Pantoja than Brandon Royval did. Brandon Royval didn't put up nearly the fight from the floor that Erceg did. So, when Brandon Royval is the number 1 contender, and Erceg absolutely fought a better fight than Royval did. So we're talking about a top 5 dude, and that's pretty cool.
What about you, New York Rick? Biggest takeaway from this fight?
Steve Erceg belongs. Like Steve Erceg is in this weight class and legitimate, and the kind of like feeling like he was ushered into this fight maybe undeservedly has aged better. Like I feel like he is somebody who is going to be around for a bit, and somebody who put on a really good performance against somebody I rate very highly in Pantoja as a champion. There's I feel like there could be an argument against Pantoja. Like he may not be the best in this division, but I think he's the most game, and I think he's up for the challenge of being the champion, and has proven that. And so that like some things still need to be sorted out in that division, and it'll be interesting to see where it goes from here. But I think Steve Erceg has established himself. I didn't learn much new about Pantoja. Like he finds ways to win. That's kind of his MO. He's in exciting fights. Another like example of him being in an exciting fight. So I knew most of these things about Pantoja. I knew that when push came to shove, he would find ways to win, and he did in that 5th round. On my card, I had 1, 3, and 5 for Pantoja, so not surprised to see that from him. more impressed with Erceg was my major takeaway. Just feeling like, yeah, the guy's legit, and the guy's somebody that I think can really hang in this division and is going to be around for a bit.
Yep. Completely agree with both of those takes. Normally, this is the time we'd be like, what's next for Pantoja? But Pantoja's taking a break. He said he's fought 3 times in a year. He's got to take some time off. And I think the timing's perfect. We can let this kind of weird and insane flyweight division sort of play itself out. What's going to happen with Amir Albazi? What's going to happen with Muhammad Mokaev, Manel Kape, Brandon Royval? What's Brandon Moreno going to do? When is he coming back? And kind of just sort of let things play out, let the division play catch up, and then we'll see what will be next for Pantoja. So I have no problem with him taking some time off because I think the timing absolutely warrants it. But Jed, I know you want to talk about. You're ready to talk about it. You're ready to talk about Anthony Smith, aren't you? The King of Rio,
Sure.
Anthony Smith. No, I'm sure we'll get there. I'm sure we'll get there. But the GOAT in your eyes.
You don't need to. He's
Jose
the
Aldo.
GOAT. He's
Jose
the
Aldo.
GOAT.
Comes in there.
He's the GOAT.
Comes in there with the crown on his freaking head, Jed Meshew. Walks out to the cage. Does Jose Aldo things to Jonathan Martinez, despite throughout the entire fight, you hearing the Rio fans chanting for Aldo, but even louder than that was Mark Montoya screaming at Jonathan Martinez, do something, volume, you need this round, you have to do something. And Jose Aldo just kept thumping him, just countering. The body shots are incredible. He's landing leg kicks. Had Martinez badly hurt in the 3rd round. I thought he was about to get the finish. He's basically chucks Jonathan Martinez somewhat lifeless body to the ground, which I think some people question. But all in all, Jose Aldo wins all 3 rounds, sweeps the scorecards, and now free agent. But saying he might want to come back to the UFC, saying he wants to have a conversation with Dana White, Hunter, Sean Shelby, etc. Your reaction to the King of Rio getting it done in his backyard?
I mean, it was everything we wanted, right? Like Jose Aldo is probably the 2nd most important fighter to me in the history of the sport. He is very real. Like one of the reasons I got into the sport in the way that I did. I love him so much. We don't need to talk about some of the things in his personal life. That's just, I don't care. I'm gonna put the blinders on and not care at all about that part of him because he's the GOAT. And we just got to watch the GOAT do work. And I don't even know how else to explain it other than that was awesome. That was exactly the fight I thought was going to happen. Some people were like, Jonathan Martinez was shook by the moment. I don't know. Kind of just looked like a normal Jonathan Martinez fight, except for the fact that he's fighting against the best defensive fighter in history. And that's really hard for most people to fight. Like, how many people have beaten Jose Aldo? Here's the answer. Only like all-time great fighters. That's it. And Conor McGregor. A bunch of all-time great fighters and Conor. That's it. Those are the only dudes who've ever beaten him. And they also like had some clear physical advantages over him, aka being enormous compared to Jose or whatever. Like it's just not Jonathan Martinez's game. He is not a high-volume striker like Max Holloway is. So like this is just what was going to go. This was a really well-made fight to give Jose Aldo a chance to perform. And we talked about this on Slack a bunch. It's not like Jose was washed, man. Like he should have beaten Merab Dvalishvili, who's like in many people's eyes, the best bantamweight in the world. Like at elevation on short notice. Like he is old. Absolutely. He is not in his prime and hasn't been for some time. But when you are a true all-time great, when you are someone like Anderson Silva, Jose Aldo, you can age gracefully because you're that damn good. And he is that damn good.
Yeah, Rick. Describe what you watched tonight from Jose Aldo. First fight in 632 days.
Yeah, a Jose Aldo performance. He turned back the clock, right? And we were talking about this a little bit before we went live on air. Like, I never really thought Jose Aldo was like quote unquote washed. I never really thought the performances from Aldo looked that bad. We talked about like what are the worst ones, right? Like Marlon Moraes is probably one of the worst Jose Aldo losses in recent memory. Merab, you could say he was certainly one-sided to a certain degree, but like stuffed all the takedowns from one of the most aggressive and like high-paced fighters in the UFC. I just never really thought like Jose Aldo had fallen off too far. So I was not surprised like in a major way to see this performance. I certainly thought Martinez would look a little bit better. I thought this matchup was a little closer and Aldo just dominated him. So yeah, it was nice to see like a vintage Jose Aldo performance. But it wasn't like shocking to a high degree. Maybe maybe there's people out there who thought he had fallen off a little bit further, and it would have been more surprising. But it was just a really solid, like, hey, I'm still one of the best guys ever, period. I cannot go along with the nonsense of being the GOAT. It's just unfortunately not true. Love Jose Aldo, just not true. But one of the best guys ever, and still a capable and competitive fighter in the later part of his career, which is extremely impressive.
So let's, Jed, I kind of had a feeling the finger was going to be up there.
I mean, it's just silly. It's just
Just read the board. Silly. I don't know what else to say. Read the board.
Someone turned this into a meme. So I guess, honestly, the biggest question to come out of this fight card altogether, and I'll ask you, Jed, if you had a like significant say on how this all plays out, what's next for Jose Aldo? Is his next fight in the UFC? Is it
Come on
PFL? Is it BKFC? What are we doing here?
I will be deeply upset if this man goes to PFL. Like the co-leader, we ain't doing that nonsense with the co-leader, man. Look, go box somebody, like go do that. Like that's because that's clearly what he's setting up. Jose Aldo's a man who's a smart man and is like, oh, I'd love to go back to the UFC. I gotta talk to Dana because I gotta see if they got the prices right. You know, like they gotta hit my numbers is what he's saying, and that's fair. And I don't know if the UFC is going to want to do that, but I think Jose Aldo moving into boxing, doing that would be terrific. This wouldn't be a bad way at all to end his MMA career. And if he does want to stay, some people are going to be upset about it. I'll give a flying hoot. Just title fight. Just put him in. Let's show him out as Jose Aldo. We're doing it. I don't care. He should have beaten Merab. Who gives a shit? It's fine. Just run it. Like, let's just do that because let's just allow us to have good things. Merit's out the window. We already gave up on Merit forever ago. So at least let's do the fun thing where Jose Aldo gets to fight for a title. Will he lose? Probably. I won't say 100%, but like probably O'Malley's not a great style matchup for him at this point of his career. But fight would be dope as hell. So it's that, or I will also accept, even though I don't actually know if Jose would accept this at this point, because he shouldn't, frankly, but I would accept Dominic Cruz. Like, you can fight Dominic Cruz because, like, that's just a fight that's supposed to happen. And I'm always happy to sign up for watching Dominic Cruz get his ass beat. So we could do that one if you're not going to do the other things. But I would say primarily go to boxing, make a bunch more money than you make in the UFC, and kind of end MMA on this happy note, King of Rio, etc. But if you are dead set on coming back, and it kind of feels like he is, title fighter Cruz, that's all I want. I don't give flying hell to watch him fight anyone else in the bantamweight division. It means nothing to me.
What about you, New York Rick? What would you do? What would you like to see for Jose Aldo?
So what I'd like to see for myself, what I would personally prefer to see is Jose Aldo continue to fight in MMA. Because as I said, like, I don't think he's at a point where I'm concerned about that. I think he can still fight at a very high level. And I just am more, he's an MMA fighter. Like, that's what I'm interested in. I care more about MMA, and I care more about him fighting in MMA because that's what I enjoy. What I think he'll ultimately do is go box because there's just so much more money. The chapter is over. He got his final fight on his UFC contract. He had already retired. It seems to me like this is a very clear indication of like, hey, let's just knock this one extra fight off the contract. Now we're done. And I can go box. And he's mentioned Floyd Mayweather, which it seems like he had a potential agreement to fight previously, and is calling the name Manny Pacquiao now. So those are just bigger fights than he's going to get in the UFC. I don't imagine he will get Sean O'Malley, although that's interesting. I wouldn't hate it. I would rather see him fight MMA, but ultimately I predict and expect that he will go box.
You're probably right. But Jose Aldo, big free agent now. I expect even the co-leader to make a phone call and shell out a whole bunch of money. So
there's the co-leader.
There's the co-leader right there.
Don't go to the co-leader, Jose.
$2 million a fight. That's what you offer Jose Aldo if you're PFL.
Then go to the co-leader.
Yeah, that's what you should do.
Do that. If they're going to offer you that, go to the co-leader.
They got unlimited money right now, apparently. So pay him $2 million and just put him on the pay-per-view cards. Him versus Patchy Mix would be a whole hell of a lot of fun. So sign me the hell up for that if they want to do
That'd
that.
be fun.
But
I would enjoy that.
yeah, that'd be incredibly fun. But we'll see what ends up happening. And congratulations to Jose Aldo, now the hottest free agent in the game. Anthony Smith gets the gilly, shuts a lot of people up, kind of checks Vitor Petrino a little bit, who was 11-0 heading into that fight, called out Anthony Smith after his win over Tyson Pedro. Vitor is looking pretty decent on the feet, shoots a takedown. Anthony locks up a gilly. You kind of felt like if any of the big favorites are going to lose, seemed like Vitor Petrino was the one you had your eye on. Michel Pereira did Michel Pereira things. Sub 1 minute, standing gilly, drops him, does a freaking backflip. Shin hits the face of Ihor Potieria as he sort of kick flips Pereira in the air, mid backflip, mid moonsault. There was a discussion amongst the referees and some of the commission members. Is it a DQ? Is it going to be a no contest? What are we doing here? Ultimately, the win stands via submission for Michel Pereira. And then Caio Borralho knocks out Paul Craig to start the main card. We had Joe Anderson Brito with a weird stoppage, which we're probably going to get to in a little bit. Yasmin Lucindo gets the win. Mick DeBeck oral bye just continues to reign terror in this sport. Drakkar Klose, kind of a scary third round for him, but ultimately he hangs on to beat Joaquim Silva, Mauricio Huffy, Diona Barboza, Ishmael Bonfim, Alessandro Costa all get wins. So before we go to the peeps, Jed, let me ask you, outside of the top 2 fights, who is your MVP for UFC 301?
Come on. Is this a question? You said outside the top 3, right?
Yeah.
More.
I figured. I want you to talk about
there ain't a question.
Your family members.
I mean, we all knew this coming in, right? Like, he had to do it for the culture. He had to do it for the country. The fact that the UFC inducts Shogun Rua into the Hall of Fame, announces his induction immediately before Ihor Potieria walks to the cage. The man who in that very arena 2 years ago slept him. Like, didn't really sleep him, but knocked him out and then danced over him in the final fight of Shogun's career. That's the man who didn't understand the assignment. Jonathan Martinez understood the assignment. You go in there, you lose to the guy we want you to lose to because that's what you're supposed to do. Ihor didn't get that memo, and then worse yet, sucks. So it's not like you even get anything by him killing the corpse of Shogun. He had to suffer for his sins. He was forced to pay penance, and that penance came in the form of Michel Pereira, my medium adult son. And my medium adult son was dope and everyone loved him. And it doesn't matter that he cheated his ass off and then that was a wildly illegal knee to the head of a downed opponent, because that wildly illegal knee came during a backflip cartwheel guard pass. And then immediately after, he choked the man unconscious, and he did it in 60 seconds. In his since moving to middleweight, do you know how long Michel Pereira has been in the cage combined? The answer is a little over 3 minutes. 3 minutes and 1 second. 3 fights, 3 up, 3 down, baby. Demolador knew the job. Go in there, make him pay, do it for Shogun, and he did it. Should he have gotten the win? Probably not. Do any of us care? No. Rule of cool, baby. Answer stands. Easily should win all the performance bonuses and easily the hero of the evening, other than Jose Aldo.
Yeah, Rick, what other performance stood out to you that is not Michel Pereira?
Yeah, Anthony Smith. Like, unlike I mentioned earlier that I don't think we've seen a rapid decline in Jose Aldo's performances. I definitely started to feel like Anthony Smith was on the wrong side of it, and he picked up a big win. And no matter how you feel about where he ranks in this division, for one, this division absolutely stinks, and there's really not like great contenders in it. And for two, Alex Pereira continues to say his name. They have built something here, right? There is a back and forth that is continuing to happen, and I could very easily see a world where he's sliding into an opportunity at some point in the near future. So it's good to be Anthony Smith after that win, to be honest. So yeah, Anthony Smith stood out to me as somebody who I think put himself in some real nice position after 301.
No bonus for Anthony Smith. Now we're switching hats. How many friggin' hats do you have, Jed?
I've been I've been amusing myself by swapping hats every time you cut away from me. Several members of the chat have also figured out my game, and I've been having a great time. Look,
Well
you got to
done.
make your own fun, and I'm not here to tell you that tonight was the best night we've ever had covering the sport, but it was fun enough, and this is amusing me, so just go with it.
Yeah, we had fun tonight, as did Michel Pereira, who will have some more fun. $50,000 bonus for him. No fight of the night, by the way. Mauricio Huffy gets a bonus. Caio Baralho, Alessandro Costa. No Anthony Smith, even though he's like a plus 400 underdog. No performance bonus for Anthony Smith. So
They'll probably take care of him.
I'm sure they will. Sure they will. The UFC loves to give fighters extra money. That's just what they do. Let's go to the people. See what the peeps have to say. And Casey as well. Hello, Casey.
Hi.
Fun night. Fun night. I enjoyed myself.
It was fun. It was fun.
The main card was
the UFC
great.
hates submissions. The UFC hates submissions. They do not give. They rarely give you a performance bonus for submission. They hate submissions. So that was why Anthony Smith did not get it.
Yeah, but
I mean, to
Pereira,
be fair,
Pereira
I
got
wouldn't
one.
give
Is
him
it
one.
is it because of the flip?
Oh yeah, it was
Yes.
the flip.
He
And
did
it
a,
was flip.
he
And
did
then
a
Mitchell.
backflip cartwheel guard pass and then choked him unconscious. It was sick.
You're
And-
right though. They don't like submissions.
Anthony Smith finished a guillotine that was handed to him on a platter. I'm not taking that away from him. Good on you, bud. But like, Perez is objectively better.
You know why
Yeah,
I didn't
no
get?
doubt.
You know why I didn't get performance bonus? I was watching the watch party with you and Heck and Connor, and you guys were so unimpressed by that submission. Y'all just went.
No,
y'all
it was just,
like,
it was,
y'all-
They were
you
watching
guys
too.
went like, what was that? And so it was
it's just such bad fighting from Vitor Petrino. Like, it was
So
just
why was-
obviously like the worst possible thing he could have done. And Anthony's just like, what? Okay. I almost knocked the microphone over just thinking about that. He's just like, oh, look at his head. It's right underneath my armpit. Let me just, yeah. And it was over. We knew it was over the second that happened. Like, why
Well,
would you do that?
Well, that's what I'm
Why?
saying.
I
And
didn't get it.
I think the how it looked so easy is actually why he didn't get the submission. I mean, why he didn't get the bonus. Because that's my only guess. That's my only guess. Because it should have gotten it, of course, but nope. But
I would have given it to him over Ruffy, but
Oh,
I don't.
but I know we're not going to talk about him at all, but like Ruffy was kind
impressive.
of my MVP of the night in the sense that I didn't know who he was, and he really impressed me. In that sense,
Yeah.
like I didn't know, I just didn't know who he was. I was like, wow, he looked good. The Connor stuff is kind of
Wow.
weird. Oh, he looks like, but I really liked the way he just looked good. Looked really good.
I get it. There's worse
I'm-
gimmicks. He's got the bladed like karate stance. Like, yeah, I'm okay with that. Ride that.
Yeah, I want to see more.
Jamie
just-
Malarkey. Jamie Malarkey might be the MVP because he's just like the perfect.
Just getting knocked
Jamie
out.
Malarkey
yeah.
should be employed forever.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
should never fire that man. He gets knocked out so well. That's what a hero. Also, Casey, way to let me know you don't read my Contender Series breakdowns. That hurts my feelings. Because you would know about Ruffy from my Contender Series breakdowns.
All right. Are people still reading? Is that a thing? Jeez. All right. Super chats.
All right, let's go. Super Dave. Enough already with the hats, Jed. Okay.
I was having
Good
a lot
gimmick.
of fun, guys. I was having a lot of fun.
Why does everyone hate fun?
I don't know. I just wanted to see if people in the chat would notice, and they noticed immediately.
They noticed immediately. Yeah.
Alex Erceg versus KKF on the Perth card really cement top 5 status. Someone's going to sleep. Spoiler, it's KKF. Sure. If that's what they
why
want to
not?
do.
Australia versus New
I
Zealand.
mean, I think that fight bangs, so I'm pro that fight. That fight
Yeah.
would be awesome.
When is Perth?
I
When
don't-
is that? When is Perth?
August.
Perth,
Okay,
oh,
okay.
yeah, August.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know with if I agree with the rest of this, but that fight bangs, so I'm super pro that. Though I actually would also say that's too soon for Erceg. Like he fought 8 weeks before this. Like that's a quick doing that again after 5 rounds. Like you might want to take a little time.
I think he's going to try to fight in Perth.
Yeah,
Get that.
same.
He
set up
he
aside.
probably will.
Steve Erceg versus Vidal Cop. Love that
Cool.
idea.
That's the thing. I think if you're gonna have Erceg fight in Perth, then give him a can. Just let him rebound. I know the UFC doesn't do that and won't, but like that would be my manage of this.
I wonder if he would want somebody highly ranked though. You know, like I think he wants to.
He almost certainly wants that.
Everyone
Yeah.
says
But I don't
they
care
want
what
that,
he
but maybe
wants.
that might not be the smart thing. Yeah.
What do I give a shit what he wants?
Actually, before we go to super chats, I want to talk about this one from Mr. Joseph Boza.
Is Steve a top 5 flyweight? He will be in my rankings. Tell you that right now.
Yep,
Let me just take a
sure
quick
will
look.
be. I think it's very likely he will move into our flyweight top 5 after, which will come tomorrow or Monday. I would say it's very likely.
He'll be in my top 5.
He'll be in my 5.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
He just had a substantially better fight with the champion than Brandon Royval, who I think is like unanimously top 3 for us. So
Yeah, he's
Not
in
sure
there.
yet. Not sure yet, but I have no arguments against it though. All right. Super chat from Super Dave Fairtex.
Is this the MMA nerd team? Is the MMA nerd team the team of the future?
I like what they're doing. They're putting on good fights and winning, and also the branding really works.
and they've got a
just
gimmick. Love a gimmick.
the gimmick with DC in the cage with the glasses is perfect. Like people are memeing it all over. It really works. Like it can be that simple sometimes. So yeah, I do think they're sitting on something for sure.
Also, they're fighting nerds, not MMA nerd team. Fighting nerds. And they probably would have had a better one too if Gene Silva hadn't been forced off the card because Gomi tried to die on the scale.
Yeah. And shout out to Kyle Braulio for doing the right thing with the microphone. I like the Cannoneer call out. That's not doo-doo.
Mike!
It's not official.
Mike!
Hey,
Come on! You know the rule, Mike. We don't say that name.
I said what I said. I have no regrets at all. But good call.
And
You
he's
didn't call it.
booked. And he's booked.
He's not booked. That ain't
I thought
official.
he was booked. Someone said he was booked.
I thought he was booked.
He ain't booked. He ain't booked.
I don't know. That's still bad because we don't say that name. We don't say that name.
He who shall not be named has reportedly been slated to headline UFC Louisville against Nasruddin Imavov. Well, if it's not an MMA fight, you guys know the golden rule. If it's on MMAfighting.com, it ain't real. So there you go. I'm not saying it won't happen, but it's on our website. That's all we need to say. We continue on.
All right.
Also, I don't know if you're going to pull this up, Casey, but I saw it at some point in there. Trevor Leggett, 20 months of a subscriber. Way to go, Trevor.
Let's go.
Here you go, Trevor. I was like,
Lazy Bed. Why did the ref diddle Shore's leg hole? Not cool. That was super weird.
that was a bad
rough.
stoppage. That was a bad stoppage.
real weird.
That was a bad stoppage.
What do you mean?
Doctor
What do you mean by
stoppage. Bad doctor. That was the guy who he said this cut. His leg is broken. He's not fighting.
Jack Shore. Jack Shore's
Jack
leg.
Shore. That's what we're talking about, right? Yeah, Jack Shore's
Yeah.
leg cut. I thought that was just a
And
bad.
his leg apparently was not broken per
Yeah.
some other statements. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
his
don't-
dad said no damage. They gave him some stitches and sent him home. So it would appear to be a bad stoppage.
doesn't seem like it was a good one.
Bad. That's all. Sucks for
I mean,
him.
I saw a guy shove his finger through the leg of a man, which I haven't really seen before. So
Yeah, but that's superficial.
that's-
I mean, like if there's
I know.
damage,
You can if you want to shove fingers into open cuts, you can do that anytime you want. I mean, that's it.
there's
It's
like a
not that hard.
legitimate hole in his shin. Like it was
But that's
the
not fight
aesthetics
stop.
are
like
awful.
there's holes all over the body, and you can stick
This
fingers
is
in
true.
them,
This is
and
true.
and
I
everything's
mean-
gonna be fine.
Outside, I honestly am not entirely sure which direction y'all are coming at this one from. To me, you're just a medical professional and shouldn't be jamming your fingers into that hole. Like, you can
I
just
don't
look
care
at it.
about the like.
You can
I'm
just look
fine-
at it and
look,
be like, that is a hole. You don't need to see how deep it is with your own finger. It's like, that's a hole right there.
I'm not a doctor, so I don't know if there's a medical reason to be shoving your finger in there. I can't speak to that part of it, but what I can speak to is if he was not compromised, then what is the stoppage for?
Yeah.
Like, his leg was fine. So what was the stoppage based
It was
on?
weird, and it was actually cut on
It
a.
wasn't
on a-
fine. Let's choose a different word than fine.
What was not fine about it? It had a cut. What
There's
was
a big
Okay.
hole in it.
It's
is
a
that,
cut.
is that
that's-
dangerous? Is that
No, it's
I don't
not.
know.
It's not.
We
I mean,
We don't know.
It's
like
not
a,
not.
dangerous. I don't think
I mean,
like it's
the
not.
fight
gonna-
itself
Pantoja had a
is
gaping
dangerous.
hole on his head.
Yeah.
Like,
And if the doctor
he
wanted to
fought.
stuck his
It was
finger in
fine.
his forehead, and we were like, "Oh, geez, I can see your brain. I'm really jamming it in
I'm
there."
not saying the stoppage was good. I'm just saying choose the word better because his leg clearly isn't fine. His leg was acceptable, maybe.
I think we
Fine
can,
is
like-
not
It's
how
not
I
a
would
fight.
define that.
It was not a fight stoppage cut, so it was
Yeah.
odd.
I think
But-
I think we're all pretty clear on
Yeah.
what we're talking about here.
And the aesthetics from the aftermath either. There was no
All right,
protest.
let me
from
ask you a
Shore at
question.
all. None.
From Shore?
I-
He just stood there and was like, okay.
Well, I mean, if you want to go like,
Yeah, but then you got
I don't
No,
think
he-
that's.
He
No,
was
they were
asked if he wanted to
offended.
continue and said
Here's
yes,
a
I want to
legitimate
continue. His team
He
said
didn't
I want to
freak out.
continue.
Well, that's
a legitimate
That's not
question.
the judgment.
Let me
if
ask
you-
this.
Oh, sorry.
Let me ask this because I want to see because this is not me making a point. It's me actively asking a question. Let's say that Jack Shore, instead of getting a cut on his shin, got stabbed. Like just like actually got stabbed. It happened. Like I don't know what it happened. Are we fine with that continuing? If he's just like, I could fight through it. Like he got stabbed like Dalton in Roadhouse gets stabbed outside the bar, Casey. This is cinema.
Is his
Let's
muscle
go.
or bone or something structural compromised? If not, if it's a stab and he has a cut, yeah,
I don't know.
keep fighting. Keep fighting.
I don't have any idea what was or wasn't compromised. I'm not a medical doctor. So
Right,
I'm
but
just
you're
saying,
asking
like,
in that
I'm just,
scenario,
I'm
so
just
I'm
trying to
saying to
find
you-
out if that's okay.
If
Because
there is,
I understand
but
your argument. It is just weird
if the
though that someone
doctor-
with like a big hole can fight.
Yeah,
yeah, that's just fighting.
that's
just
fighting.
what we
That's
watch.
fighting.
Like,
Yeah,
what-
that's
I'm
what it- yeah.
confused at your confusion. I got to be honest. Like
I-
we see
'cause, like-
cuts.
'cause
like,
we-
all
we-
the
his
time.
his
No, but like we
intestines weren't
stop
falling
fights
out
for
or anything.
cuts. No, but we stop fights for cuts. Like
typically
any
because
of
they're
any of the
they're
big
going-
gashes that reveal like skull, that's not gonna do anything worse. Like that's
The
not
skull-
going to kill.
The skull's up
them.
here, the legs down here.
yeah. There's a difference.
I'm aware of
Those
basic
are also-
anatomy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're
But
saying
also-
you're saying a cut in the skull. That's not a cut
Why
in
is
the
that?
leg.
No, but why is that different? Like that's
Because
not
you-
any more structurally damaging than a cut in the leg.
Yeah,
It's just on the head as opposed to being on the leg.
yeah, it is different. It's
It
on the
is
leg.
because
It's like
but
No,
You can still
tell
fight.
me, medically explain to me why that cut is going to lead to much
because
worse
there's
long-term
different
complications.
structures and things that are happening here in the face that are not happening in the foot that are important to preserve, right? Like the leg is
there's no
different
permanent. There's no
in the
permanent. Like
face.
there is like permanent lifelong damage for cuts on the face, especially with the eyes and the lips and stuff. When you have bad cuts around the face, they will stop around the lips and eyes. But otherwise,
Because a lot of times you hear when they do stop it for cuts like that, they're like, "Oh, this could have affected your eye, your vision, things that are like important to
Okay,
continue
yeah,
the fight."
there are those, but there are also just ones where like, oh, that's just a really gnarly gash and this fight is over.
Most of
And
those
this-
don't
like-
get stopped.
yeah,
I
kinda
for
just, like-
honestly,
I just don't give
honestly-
a shit about this one. I'm fine. With
I
this
do give a shit
Yeah.
about it because it was an injustice to Jack Shore, and I know we don't care about Jack Shore, but I'm just talking. If we do care about him, then I think that sucks for him.
It was a bad stoppage.
I think it was bad. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I knew as soon
they
as I
said-
saw it. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, fight's over. They're stopping it. I knew
And
immediately.
they said because and even they said on the air, they said they did it because they thought there was a leg fracture. It's like he's
yeah, but they
walking
said
on
it
it. He is
after the
fine.
fact, though. They said it after they read the decision and the post-fight interview
Well, yeah,
was done.
because we don't interview the doctor in the cage, so we didn't know, so we had to
No,
go.
I
through.
know that, but I knew as soon as I saw the cut, they were stopping the fight. Like I was like, this fight's over. They're not letting him continue. There's no chance they're gonna let this man
Because
continue
it
to
was
fight.
what, too deep? Because it was just like too
Yeah,
bad
it
a
looks like
visual?
he got shot in the leg. Like
I
that
got
was what
fucking
it
gnarly,
looks like
man.
on television. It looks like he got shot in the shin, and there's a
That's a
hole
cut
in his leg.
stoppage via gnarly. It was just gross.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
just weird. It was like, oh,
I don't know.
I'm not gonna say it's unprecedented, but how many?
It
like,
it
how
pretty
many
much
times have
is
you seen
unprecedented.
that
I
in
think
UFC?
we only
Yes,
found
that's why I'm not
only one
mad.
other, well, maybe only one other cut I've seen on a leg cut from checking a kick
There-
where they've stopped the fight. I can't.
Yeah,
we,
There's
like
been a
that,
couple other
I'd-
because
it's
Composer
crazy.
posted about it, but it is certainly not common.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's, and this one wasn't bad enough. It was just like, yeah, it looks gnarly, but this is a gnarly sport.
Right. But
I mean,
as
that's
soon as
what
I
we,
saw it, I was
that's
like,
what we're
that's
doing
it.
here. We
We're
are
done.
beating the crap out of people. You know, that's the sport. I mean, so that's why I didn't like the stoppage, and yeah, that's all.
I can live with the explanation that he thought something was fractured. Now, would I like for something to actually be fractured if you're going to make that determination? Certainly. Like that just feels like
jump up and down on 1 foot.
negligent.
Cool, leg's not broken. You're good.
If that's the explanation,
I gotta say, I'm not
and I
sure
heard that
that's
on the
how we should
broadcast,
test
then I'm
that
okay.
case.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe if your leg's broken,
Your
maybe
bone
not.
might be broken.
Well,
You
he was. I
should
mean, he was
really
clearly
just
walking.
stomp
He was
around
fine.
on
Like
it and see.
we've
yes,
seen
he
thousands
was
of
able to
fights.
walk.
This was just. I was just like, all right,
I'm with
thank
you.
you.
I'm with you.
All
I think
Congratulations.
it was unfortunate for Jack.
Yeah.
He got screwed in
Unfortunate
that.
is the right word. Unfortunate is the right word.
All right, super chats.
Crimson Chin. Erceg got robbed. Sure should have been able to continue. Brazil crowd sucked.
I don't know if the Brazil crowd sucked.
They were
It
way
was-
better than 283. Way better than 283.
Yeah, it was just Madonna's in
Well,
town. What do you want?
Yeah, she Madonna runs this town.
Erceg
Yes.
for sure didn't get robbed.
AC.
I don't care about the shore thing, sure. And the crowd was not that fun, but also, frankly, good on Rio. Like, I respect you for not just lapping up the dog shit you got fed. So it wasn't a very good card. It was a fine card. We enjoyed ourselves. This was one of the weaker pay-per-view offerings UFC's put forth, and the people of Rio responded correctly. The way that you are supposed to respond to incentives like this. Like, that's how theoretically capitalism would work. Oh, you're providing us an inferior product. We're going to go see Madonna instead. That seems like a better use of our time and energy. And so you get different fans, and it's not quite the same reaction because that's what the UFC bought paid for with this card.
Yeah, that's exactly right. If we're going to compare this to like the cards of the past and how crazy the Brazilians went for it, I would point you to the actual card and then say it's commensurate. Like the crowd was fine because the crowd was 3/4 or less full or whatever the final result ended up being because the card wasn't that strong and they were appropriately excited for that, as Jed kind of said. Like it was fine.
If they didn't have Jose Aldo on this card, they probably would have had like 4,000 people in the building.
Yeah, it was done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
And
last
Erceg
time
didn't
the
get robbed.
UFC went to this arena, it had Glover Teixeira, Jamal Hill, Brandon Moreno, Davison Figueiredo, 4, or whichever one that one was 4, right? Gilbert
Yep.
Burns, Jessica Andrade, Johnny Walker, Shogun. Look at the difference between those two cards, and that will explain to you the difference in the crowds.
Yeah, even
And
like
that's
ranking.
not even like the best of the best. Like previous trips to Brazil have been even stronger than that. So yeah, this was just fine.
Yeah.
It was what it was.
The 283 crowd was like not into it at all because they were like most of the fans that would go and make the noise. And I don't know what the ticket prices were for this one. I assume they were far less than 283 was, but most of those people were like priced out of the building. So it just wasn't the same sort of ambiance. There's a little bit more of that tonight. Felt a little more like Rio-esque as opposed to 283, but still not great. Not great. This is a fight night card. Like,
yeah,
it's a fight night card. That's what it was.
There was only one top 10 fighter according to our rankings on the entire card. So,
which is Pantoja. I mean, certainly it seems like Erceg will now, right?
Well,
like,
yeah, Erceg afterwards,
he is commensurate with that, but he hadn't done it yet.
But coming into it,
yeah.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, we call those fight night cards.
Well, Aldo will be a top 10.
There were
coming into
plenty
the
of
fight,
top 15 fighters on this, but yeah.
Top 15 is not a thing. It's top 10.
It's definitely a thing. We rank
them. I know. I'm joking. I'm top 10. It just sounds better. Top 15. Yeah. Our friend Achilles Jr.
Oh,
yay! Do y'all see Michelle being a top 5-ish contender? Brito also. Rick Suckett. Jed, you have a mullet. L. Wow. I love how he asks questions and it's just like mic drop. So let's go.
It's usually not. It's usually not mic drop. We usually get like 3 or 4 of these, and I'm hoping we get a few more. So yeah, keep coming.
Yes. Yes. No. I have no comment on what Rick does, and this isn't a mullet. Pretty obviously, you idiot. It's not short in the front. My hair is just brushed back. It's just long hair. I don't know what to tell you.
Wait, is he?
Uh,
So is Michel not even ranked? He's not even like in a ranking.
no,
He hasn't
he hasn't
fought
fought like
anyone.
anyone
Anyone in the
near
top
the
15.
In the
top
UFC
15.
now.
I know, but like some guys have kind of like not fought anybody and lost too, and are still in the top 15. It's kind of weird.
I think he could break it this time
Because
after
Michel
this
just
win.
moved to middleweight and he beat Petrosky and Alexejchuk, who weren't ranked guys.
Yeah, I mean,
He will almost certainly
top
get a rank.
five?
Who you bumping out? Who you bumping out, Mr. Jackman?
I
If
mean,
Michelle's going up there, who you bumping out?
Let's take a look at my
on
rankings.
the
right now.
UFC's rankings, like Paul
Well, our
Craig.
rank, I don't know. Whatever.
I'm looking at UFC's because I'm
Okay.
just like
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Paul Craig out of
Paul
there.
Craig's good answer.
I don't know.
Jack
maybe
Hermansson's
it's
leaving my
soon.
rankings.
There's
Yeah, he
just
probably
there,
doesn't
it
make
just
mine.
doesn't feel like these rankings are very strong, and he's kind of been like on fire at middleweight. So I would have seen, I could have seen he was in the top 15, but I'm okay with the answer that like he just didn't do enough yet.
Is
he
he
gonna
top
be
five-ish?
top five? Yeah, I don't know about that, man. I don't know
Yeah.
about that. He just has a propensity to do such dumb and amazing and
Awesome,
wonderful
yeah.
shit, and you just like can't do that.
Don't you talk about my medium-sized adult son like that?
It's
He
the
gonna flip
dumbest,
his way
most
into a title
incredible,
fight.
most amazing, like bow at his feet type shit, and it's just not how you become a top fighter in the sport.
Disagree. It's dope. So we're clear. When the guy you think was GOAT was actually good, he was doing insane, stupid shit. And then he just like, I'm going to jab and poke people in the eyes and be boring as sin. Like,
I don't
being crazy
think,
is
like, he
awesome.
is GOAT.
And Michel Pereira is awesome.
He's
He's
awesome.
not
I'm
GOAT,
not
man.
arguing that.
We've talked to a million animal husbandry experts, scientists, doctors, lawyers. Chickens ain't goats. The math is real. The science is real. You don't believe in science, I can't stop you. Chickens ain't goats. Michel Pereira, be fucking nuts because it's way cooler. And my personal nirvana, I've now been calling for this for roughly a year, is Michel Pereira versus Dricus du Plessis doing real stupid, silly stuff at each other. It would be so much fun.
One day somebody's gonna make you like stake your reputation on some of these things. Like there's just so much said that like
Come on.
like Michel Pereira.
What reputation I got to worry about, buddy?
Yeah, maybe you're right.
Yeah.
Fair point.
That's
Fair
gone a
point.
while.
I'm Kendrick in this bitch. You can't. I am bulletproof.
Whoa.
Fair point. There's
I can't wait
don't
to.
know.
I cannot wait to matchmake for Michel Pereira and on to the next one tomorrow morning because I got the one. Oh, do I got
Dricus
the
du
one?
Plessis. Is it Dricus
No.
du Plessis?
No, it is not.
Okay,
That's the
but
most
Jed,
fun fight, though.
does Michelle, does he get a giant jump up? Like, does he get like, or do we do this like one step at a time type thing? Or just
I
for
think
Jed, just for Jed.
I think you do launch him up fairly high just because you kind of can. I'm bad about the whole like who's booked against what or whatever because I don't have a podcast where I do that for a living. But it will also
Hamzat
kind of
beat-
depend if they're going to let Barrio get up, right? Because he called for he who shall not be named. If they give him that, then also giving Michelle like a huge bump is pretty tough.
I don't think.
Give Michelle the loser of Costa Whitaker.
Wow. I mean, that is just such a massive jump, like insanely high jump. But to the rankings point, like Hamzat beat a welterweight Kamaru Usman and is like 11 in the UFC's ranking. So like,
We
I don't
just
think
had a
anything
title
off
fight
the
of a
table.
guy who was ranked 10 in the UFC. It wasn't even our top 10 and almost won the belt tonight. So I don't. A giant jump up in competitions. Maybe it's time.
It
Just
does
do
feel like Whitaker Costa area might be too quick, but I don't know. Whatever.
I would be pretty down to watch him fight Paulo Costa. That would be pretty fun.
Would you be
If
down
Costa
to
goes out, it gets thumped up bad by Sean Strickland. Then I don't have a problem with it.
That's right. Sorry, it's Strickland Costa, not Whitaker and Costa.
Sorry,
Who's
what did I
Whitaker
say? Yeah.
fighting?
Whitaker's fighting
I said
Hamzat.
Hamzat, that's right. Yeah, no, I give him the loser of Strickland Costa. I don't want him to fight. Like, I don't care about his like elevation. I want fun fights for Demolidor because he's fun. Like, I just want him to do fun shit.
I got it. Don't worry about it. Listen on tomorrow morning. I got it.
That's you have your own thing. Yeah,
I got it.
tomorrow.
I got it. You'll see. It's the right fight. It's the perfect fight.
All right. I have ideas too, but not at the UFC.
do you got?
handle it.
What do you got?
I mean, the perfect fight is Dricus. It's so much
It's just
fun.
like-
I now need Drickus to lose the belt so he can just fight Pereira. Like, it would be so silly.
Who would you pick, Easy? Let's hear yours. What's the right one?
I'm down for a giant jump up in competition and Michel Pereira versus he who shall not be named.
Oh. Okay.
So
I can't think of something
Kaio,
less
who's
fun.
ranked, doesn't get him.
No,
No.
he gets someone. He gets someone. I don't know. Someone.
Shall-
Kyle gets Jack Hermanson. That's the one. That's an Apex
Yeah.
main event if there ever was one.
Honestly, that actually makes more sense.
This division is
Michelle's cooler than Kaio. You just got to deal with it.
He is.
that I couldn't argue. Like certainly, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Dope.
All right.
I'm the one
Good.
that wanted him ranked. You guys were like, oh, that's
No, I was explaining why it wasn't. I'm going to be ranking this man. Probably way higher than I should.
Oh, God.
Oh, we got one of those rankings. Okay.
Shit.
All right.
it's like your goat thing. You're taking somebody who's not there and putting them higher. I get it. Understood.
No. I don't know what to tell you, man. You come back with any scientist that will tell you that chickens are genetically goats, I'll rescind. But it has been very clearly established to me by the scientific.
Well, you're just
Chickens and
arguing
goats.
why John Jones would not be GOAT. You're not really like thereby proving that Aldo is. But I mean, that's a whole other.
I mean, the sign says it. So
yeah, got
that's
it.
it. Also, he's been a top 5 fighter for 20 years. No one does that.
John Jones.
at that weight class.
John Jones
two
has
two fights
not
on a real
been
weight
top
class.
5 fighter for 20 years either, by the way.
He is
We're not talking about John Jones. We're not talking about.
Do you
John
think
Jones.
John Jones is
We're not-
45? He's not.
No, but how long has it been?
It's like 16 years. He's still got a few more, but also there was a big
Okay,
gap
that's
in
pretty-
there
that's pretty
because
good.
he retired because he lost to Dominic Reyes.
He did.
Yeah, Jose Aldo retired too. It's fine.
That's cute.
Jose Aldo never lost to Dominic Reyes, who's bad.
John Jones never lost, so
I watched that.
Sure lost to Dominic Reyes.
I watched.
earlier when you said
Why am I
earlier when you
joining
were
in?
you're like how many people have beat Jose Aldo? The answer is 8. The answer is actually 8 people. 8 people have, or 8 times he's lost because Max Holloway actually did it twice. So he's
At least
lost.
he lost to good
8
fighters.
times.
He didn't lose to Dominic Reyes. Who's
Well, John never
not
lost,
good.
so I mean that kind
Sure
of like
lost to
puts that
Dominic
to bed.
Reyes. I mean, I have
didn't.
eyeballs.
But, like didn't, but
I have eyeballs.
just didn't lose.
I didn't know you didn't have eyeballs. That's tough. That's a tough scene for you.
Gentlemen, before we went live, I thought we got all our John Jones out of us.
Next question.
Next question.
Next question,
I'm
please.
sorry.
It's just so crazy. I mean, it's just.
All right,
Look.
real quick, we're done.
How the hell did we get there with that question? Like none of those
Jed
guys are
said
even in the
something.
question.
Jed said something in the middle, and then I went back to it, and it was the whole thing.
Pereira versus Delidze, don't hate that idea.
Yeah, that could be
Igor
fun.
against the world.
Probably
Sure.
makes more
I mean,
sense,
whatever.
but yeah. All right.
Just keep bringing Ihor to Brazil to get lamped by Brazilians. I like this idea.
Yeah, that's a good. We'll agree on that one.
Alex, how empty were the seats after the Aldo fight? 75%.
I don't know.
There's still people there.
Nah.
I didn't pay
It was. I
attention.
mean, it definitely emptied out. It definitely emptied out like a visible amount.
Did it? Oh wow!
Not like
Okay,
yeah,
I didn't even
dropped-
track that.
But he knew that was going to happen. It's
Yeah.
Jose Aldo show. But
I
like,
guess
they were
I mean,
dead.
Pantoja's-
They were dead quiet for the walkouts and the introductions for the main event. And then by like
that
halfway
stinks.
through the first round, the crowd started getting up for it because they're like, "All right, this could be fun as hell." So
Pantoja's from Rio, so that kind of stinks. I don't love that. I wish it was different, but I mean, it is what it is. They were there for Aldo. No
Well, I think this kind of goes back to more on the UFC, and we're talking a little bit online on Slack with Kui about this. The UFC just has not created new Brazilian stars that are under 30. They just haven't.
Yeah.
And this is actually, I don't know if it's a problem. Maybe the UFC doesn't care, but at least in the Brazilian MMA scene, it doesn't seem there are just no one. There's obviously lots of talent, but just not stars. Yeah,
not under 30, but wouldn't it have been amazing if Alex Pereira was headlining this card and could have
Card would have been
made
great.
it feel special and more important, that would have been nice. Not under 30, but
Pereira Hills, the
star.
main event, would have been amazing. Been perfect.
Yeah, great.
Carter would have been so good.
Yep. All right.
Aldo's just the feature fight instead of the co-main. It's ideal. That's what I scored it. I don't have any issues with the 4-1 scoring. For Pantoja, I think that's fine. I expected it to be 3-2s Pantoja all the way around. The official MMA fighting scorecard is 3-2 Erceg. I'm not married to it, but that's how I scored it real time. 2-3-4.
Yeah, I had round 3 for Pantoja. Oh, Mike, I think you're on mute. You go first, though.
Oh, you're not
I
on mute. I
lost
just can't hear you, Mike. I don't know what happened to your microphone. No, now you are muted.
Adrian, Pereira is not the biggest star in MMA. He's a very big star. He's also not under 30 by like any stretch and was a star prior to coming to the UFC. So like just context clues, bro. It's okay.
I scored round 3 for Pantoja. I certainly like you have to track that elbow, and that was one of the most damaging strike of the fight. But I think Pantoja did enough throughout the rest of the round that I was okay with scoring it for him. But yeah, big elbow, like no doubt. You have to note that.
Yeah.
I've been trying to figure that out.
But I thought that was
lately.
Okay. Go on. Sorry.
I've been thinking about that lately because like the elbow is functionally the reason. So I thought the round was relatively competitive. Without the elbow, it definitely goes to Pantoja, but like I don't know, he took a half pint of blood out of him. That feels like that's probably more damaging than whatever Pantoja did the rest of the round.
I think it could be argued. I think that's.
Yeah. It certainly can be, but like a half pint of blood's a lot of blood.
Reasonable.
It didn't. I don't. Okay, so real quick, Mike, is your audio not working? Mike, can you hear me, Mike? Talking to you, Mike.
Yeah, he can.
Your audio isn't working because you did start talking and we can't hear you.
What about now?
Now we can.
He's back.
I hear you.
We're going through the headphones now. I don't know.
All right, yeah, I don't know what happened. Okay, wait, you're good now. All right, cool. Just check it. I want to get that settled. I don't know what we're talking about.
We were talking about round 3, elbow.
Yeah.
I thought 1, 2, 4, and 5 were pretty clear. I thought they were pretty clear rounds. 3 was the toss-up round. But I have no issue with Pantoja getting the 3rd round. But I thought the other 4 rounds were pretty clear, pretty easy to score.
I wouldn't have had an issue really either way on 2. If you give Pantoja 2, I would have been fine with that, which I think KCU did. But yeah, I agree.
No, I had one judge. I had 4-1 Pantoja, but I acknowledge that 2 and 3.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Close.
Like you gave Pantoja a second. I don't have any issues with that being that way either. Like,
yeah,
then it's fine. Cool. I think anything from 3-2 Erceg to 4-1 Pantoja is totally fine.
Wiedenhoff, how do you guys choose who hosts what show? We are told who hosts it, and then we show up and host it. Yep. And it's that simple.
I mean, Mike hosts most everything if Mike is available, and if not, it's usually me or Shaheen.
Yeah, and then once in a while, like I'll pundit on some things, like we did for 300. Achilles is back. John Jones technically didn't lose, but you know who did? Valentina at 285.
Actually, technically, John Jones did lose. So
I don't know. That is correct.
Technically, John Jones just like a stone miss.
Oh boy, Achilles.
You know what? I'm gonna back my boy Achilles here. Just spot on. Like this is what I need you to bring every single time. Thank you for speaking some truth.
You know who didn't lose? Habib.
Never lost.
Habib
God.
Maybe
and then he walked away after he finally started having real fights.
Oh, wow.
You know what? You should definitely shame a man for walking away after his dad dies. That's a great
No, don't try and do that. Don't try and turn that into
That's exactly what happened. Literally.
Yeah, okay. But is that my fault when we're grading him? You know what? His dad.
I don't know. You kind of put some stank on that trash talk. You know, you're like, and then he walked away.
So therefore, we give him. What do we give him for that? 10 extra wins. What are we adding to the resume for that? What is the length of time that you're just going to be like, okay, now we just assume that he wins these? What is it?
No, I'm not assuming any of those. I'm just saying he
Okay,
never
so then
lost.
if his career stopped when it stopped, I don't really have a opinion on why it stopped. He stopped his career, and therefore I'm going to judge it based on that. There's nothing to do with why. I don't care about why. That's up to him.
Never
Yeah.
lost. Actually, never lost.
Very few title defenses. Just not even in the convo for GOAT.
Did never fight a middleweight or a bunch of old people. Just
and
out here
mop
fighting the
them
best
up and-
lightweights in the world in the best division, not a shitty division where he fought a bunch of middleweights.
So
And
what
is
about
now
DJ?
currently
Where's DJ?
trying not to fight.
Where's DJ? Where's DJ?
Oh, I
Strength
think
of
DJ.
competition, right?
I think
you're
DJ has a very good
criticizing-
argument to be GOAT. I think DJ has
How?
a very good GOAT.
Why you're questioning the strength of competition for John Jones. Make
Yeah,
the
I think
argument for
DJ's
DJ.
strength of competition is quite
DJ's
good.
got very good competition. Very good competition.
No, what? John Jones' title defenses were
there are
were
bad
bunked
people in
and-
DJ's
and
run. I'm not
DJ's
saying all of them are
Joe
winners.
Soto. What are we like? What fights are we like talking about here?
Joe Soto.
Do you
he fought
not
Joe-
remember any of DJ's wins?
Yeah, so
John Dotson's very good. Joseph Benavidez very good.
Very good.
Koji
There's some good
Horiguchi
ones.
very good. I don't.
yeah, there's some good ones. There's also some bad ones. So John Jones has no good
There
ones
are.
either. John Jones.
No,
Oh, okay.
I have never said John doesn't have good
You
ones.
literally
I just
just
said
were
he has a
saying
lot of
old-
middleweights.
old men and middleweights. So none of
Both
those are
of
good.
those are true statements. I don't know what to tell you.
So, okay, look, Demetrius, I love him. I rate him highly on my GOAT ranking. Let's not pretend that Demetrius was fighting like a murderer's row of guys in the UFC. It's just not true.
I absolutely think he was fighting a very good
Yeah.
string of competition. I
It
thought
was
it at
fine.
the time and thought it was insane that everyone was like, whatever, he's small, so no one cares about him. That's nuts. But
Yeah,
Well,
all right.
that's-
I think the skill set for those flyweights are just so much higher than most of the 205ers. But I get it. Moving on.
You're fighting the competition that you have. Like, yeah, this 205er is not as skilled as a flyweight. I will grant you that and not even come close to debating it. But the level of competition that John I don't. Do we go back to what I said before the show about Daniel Cormier? Do we want to rehash this conversation?
Oh no.
So here's the thing. John's resume is starting to lean real heavily on DC, the same way Fedor's did, where it's like, okay, I know he beat a lot of people, like whatever, but he also whipped Nog's
It's
ass.
not
You
just
can't
like
take
whatever,
that away
like
from him.
Shogun, Rampage, Glover, like these are not just like
oh.
whatever. I know you're gonna say
Glover's
they're
great
whatever,
win.
but
Not
they're
even taking
not.
anything
They're
away
just
from
not
Glover. Glover's a great
whatever.
win.
Machida was
They're
a great
just
win.
not.
Machida was a great win.
Machida was a good win.
Middleweight,
was
these
a
are
great
not
win.
just like
Yeah.
whatever. They're just not. I'm sorry. They're just not. They're not whatever.
That's terrific. That's terrific, buddy. Tell me how the back half of his light heavyweight career went. When he
he had
edged out a win against Anthony Smith, who's not good. When he probably lost to Thiago Santos, who has two knees and is bad. When he definitely lost to Dominic Reyes. Like,
probably
this is
lost
tough.
to Thiago Santos. Oh, come on. All right.
I scored.
You know what he didn't do though? He didn't actually lose. He didn't lose. He
he
won.
didn't, and that's terrific. But he had awful performances against real bad fighters.
Awful performances and winning are better than losing. Yes. I'm sorry. That's how that works. It's better than losing.
I don't know because
Losing is not how you
that's
play this
framed in a
game.
very open-ended. I would rather have a good performance against a good fighter and lose than have a winning performance against a shit fighter.
Yeah, in a vacuum, when it comes to a legacy resume conversation, your whole thing was just Habib didn't lose. You literally just said that moments ago.
That was
Like,
me just fucking with you. I'm not putting Habib
John
in
didn't
the
lose.
goat.
John didn't lose. John
did lose. He lost. Like, I don't know how John people
Nah,
can't.
this is
Like, you
silly.
can
This is
feel in your
silly.
heart
This
that
is
he
silly.
didn't,
This is
and that's
silly.
okay. But it's on the scoreboard, and I don't care that it shouldn't have
It's
happened.
just so crazy.
He put himself in a
Everybody
position to
John
take an L.
Jones beat was
That's
old
the
and a
fuck up,
middleweight,
bro.
and he lost all these fights. Oh, it's just crazy.
I didn't say he
It's
lose
just
all the
crazy.
fights. He officially lost
The
one.
two
and
division
you guys gotta
champion.
deal
Oh,
with
it's
it.
just nuts.
I don't
It's
know,
just
man.
nuts.
All
It's
right.
just nuts.
The scoreboard is the scoreboard. I don't know what to tell you.
The scoreboard is the scoreboard, and the scoreboard says John Jones beat a bunch of Hall of Famers and never lost. That's what the scoreboard says.
No, the scoreboard
it's
absolutely
pretty
says
clear.
he lost. I don't know how you can deal with this.
To who?
Unofficially his scoreboard, Rick. He officially
Okay, so you're saying
has
the Matt
lost.
Hamill. So your evidence is you're pointing to Matt Hamill. That's your thing.
No.
You're like Matt Hamill is the guy.
Here's what I've got. Rick, I've got you in a box because either it
Tell
is
me.
only the record that matters and then he lost to Matt Hamill and you got to wear it, or it's not the record, it's the vibe. And then he fucking lost to Dominic Reyes. He lost one of them. You can pick which one makes you happier, but one of those is an L, whichever way you want to hang this.
You can hell, he could have lost both and he's still the GOAT. What do you want? Like, what do
That's
you want?
fine.
He's still the
That's
GOAT.
an okay position to have, but
Yeah,
you just
that's the right
gotta
position.
own one of them. That's fine.
He didn't
I
lose either of them, but
fundamentally
you
disagree,
can have it
but I
and he's still the
know you
GOAT.
how to feel.
He didn't lose. You can have it. He lost both and he's still the GOAT. How about that?
Okay.
There you go.
Absolutely
Easy.
think you're wrong because, again, you still haven't addressed the fact that he's a chicken and a coward and chickens can't be ducks.
Well, that part. That part's pretty hard.
So I got you coming in going, bud. All I know is there's an interim champion in his weight class and he's trying to fight, Alex Pereira, former
There's a
middleweight.
smear
Again,
campaign being done against John Jones that I cannot get on board with.
if you ain't a chicken, prove me wrong. Fight Tom Aspinall. Fight Tom Aspinall. Prove me
I'm gonna
wrong.
take a breath.
I'll never speak bad about you again.
I don't
You being
believe
like,
you
I don't wanna
because
fight
I
Tom,
think
I'd
you
like to
will
fight
fight Tom.
former middleweight
I think
Alex
you will
Pereira
fight Tom
at
Aspinall, and I
heavyweight,
don't
because
think
that
you
seems
will.
better.
I don't think you will admit that you have to change your stance. I think you will fight Tom, and I don't think you will change your stance. I think you'll still
I'll
find a way
absolutely
to
stop calling
denigrate
him a
his
chicken.
resume.
If you fight Tom Aspinall, I'll
but-
stop calling him a chicken.
But what will happen? Just like when he beat Shogun and Rampage, I'm gonna be like, Tom
That'll
wasn't.
be the best.
No,
If he beats Tom, that will be the
what are
best win
Tom's
of
wins?
his career. In
You
like
say that
12
now,
years.
but in 10 years, you'll be like, Tom was just a guy. He was was he even a heavyweight? Who knows? Was Tom even a heavyweight?
No,
That's what we'll be
because
doing
Tom
in
is a
10
good
years from now.
fighter.
We know Tom is not past his prime.
I also
We do
think
know
Cyril
that.
What
Gane
about
is
Dom?
a good win.
All right, look, that's Tom.
I agree.
Questions about Dom. Okay, we gotta get Dom here.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
Talk
20
to
months.
Joe
There
out.
you go, Terrence.
Listen, BTL, we'll do this on BTL. We'll just do the whole show about the Go conversation. You guys can do it.
I
and
don't
then
want to
round
have
two-
it. I don't want to have it.
Can't
And then
take it.
we could do pound for pound, and then we could do card fight placement, and then that will be the
Hey.
3 rounds. Be perfect addition to BTL.
I don't.
Can the
really
can the
care
final round
about
be open scoring?
hard fight pace?
Yes, it should. In fact, it will.
That
What
might
a
get me
show!
fired.
What a show it's gonna be. It's gonna be like
I
the
can't
Ocho
care
of BTL.
less about open scoring.
Does Aldo get his ranking back? Odds on the Dom fight? Yes, Aldo's
I
getting.
think
a
he has to
ranking
get
back.
his ranking back, right?
Yeah, for sure. He will be high on.
I think
my
for us, and I'm interested to see what the UFC ends up doing with him and because I know their rankings are nonsense anyway, but like he's beaten the number 12 guy, and usually it's just like, okay, we slot you in at 11 or whatever, or 12, and we bump Martinez back. But because before he retired, he was like 6, I don't know how that's going to track for them. So that'll be
Can I
fun to
ask
see on
something?
Tuesday.
Can I ask something that might sour the mood, but like I feel like is a legitimate question? Are we 100% sure the UFC wants to re-sign Jose Aldo? Like, is that
No,
is that a
no.
guarantee? I don't feel like that's a guarantee
Not at all.
by any measure. Okay,
Yeah, I agree.
Not
I don't mean to like put stink on it, but like at the same
No,
time,
that's
like
fine. It's not
that's
sour.
not
the
Same.
fact that they gave him his final fight without the negotiation to me is like a sign of like, hey, maybe it's not like a foregone conclusion that Aldo is a UFC fighter, because they may not. They may say like, hey, this was great. This Rio thing was fantastic. Thanks for helping us sell these tickets. And like, now, you can go do boxing. That'd be great. And support him in that. So I'm not 100% sure.
I would venture to say that they will try to re-sign him, but they're not going to pay him a bunch because he, like couple of the interviews pre this event, he's like, he maintains that he didn't come back to save this card or whatever, that he was already talking about returning, and that it just so happened that this worked out, but that they were talking about it before, and the UFC wanted to re-sign him before he came back, but he just wanted to fight out and then kind of assess from there. So I think they would re-sign him. I don't think they're going to back up the Brinks truck for him. So we'll see how it ends up.
I think that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay,
I would say it's more likely than not he does not return to the UFC, but not by like 55-45% would be my guess.
He's not getting a raise. How about that? If he wants to resign, he's not getting a raise. Whatever he got paid tonight will be his new contract.
Who's that?
I think.
Who's that behind Mike right there? Who's that?
Just an absolute legend. There he is.
Look at him.
Game king himself. Look at him. Look at him. GC, what a legend.
All right, we got a few more super chats. Let's roll through these.
Okay.
Let's fire through these. We still have a lot of shit we got to do.
Yeah.
Who is Matt Hamill? Thank you, Achilles.
Thank you, Achilles.
There's a movie about him you can watch.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
probably will end up doing it at some
yeah.
point.
Kill the Villain. Anthony Smith ruined my 13-leg parlay at $20. It was a fan really happy for him. Anthony Smith ruined my perfect night betting. Honestly.
So that means your parlay was just all favorites. You just took every favorite on the card, which I respect because it was cashing.
Yeah, that one in particular. Yeah. Yeah, it's wild.
I think
was Anthony Smith the only underdog?
Underdogs.
Oh no, was Otto underdog too? Otto was an underdog, right?
Smith and Aldo are the only underdogs who cashed tonight.
And I picked
Wow.
Yeah, Smith one doesn't surprise me. Otto's whatever, we talked about that earlier. Otto won't surprise me as being an underdog, but
Richie Elgar in the comments saying Aldo cares about legacy, not money.
Oh
no.
I want to be just couldn't be more wrong. Aldo's legacy is already rock solid.
Yeah, that legacy ain't paying
He
the
actually
bills.
can't really improve his legacy that much at this point.
Unless he wins the bantamweight title, that's the only thing that'll improve it.
Will it? Maybe because if you're the GOAT, you can only be so goated, you know.
Oh God. Okay.
Ooh, would he only be signing for a bantamweight title shot immediately? Oh, whatever.
I mean, that would be it, but
yeah.
So one thing to add, actually, Casey, on that topic. So our own Guilherme Cruz said, Jose Aldo said at the post-fight presser. Oh, sorry. I've stepped away from it. Post-fight presser that he has completed his UFC deal, but the promotion still has the option to match whatever offer he gets. So he will sit down with Dana White to discuss his future. So that's interesting. They can match offers with him. But sometimes they waive that. Sometimes, that becomes a non-factor. He likes the idea. He likes the idea of skipping the line straight for the bantamweight title. So Jed may get his wish, and maybe Jose Aldo gets Sean O'Malley.
It'll be a real bummer if he loses to O'Malley, which again I think I'd probably pick O'Malley, but it would also just be.
Is it going to be funky if O'Malley starts being like, I want Jose Aldo over Marab? That could be.
I'm stunned he hasn't tweeted up.
Yeah, I kind of thought that would be like the first thing out. But like also you could just do them both. I know in O'Malley's grand plan he beats Marab and then fights Ilya. Ilya has other business to attend to, so like beat Marab and then fight Jose. That's fine too.
There was so little interest for this card tonight.
Poor Corey
Sean O'Malley
didn't even live forever sad.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Casey.
Yeah.
Because Sean O'Malley was watching. He said something. Oh, he liked the Michel Pereira backflip. He said that was badass, I believe.
Yeah.
He was at least watching.
Dude, O'Malley Aldo makes a lot of money-wise. Ooh, wow.
Makes more than Marab.
Makes more than Marab.
Is Aldo that guy though? Like the pay-per-view draw guy? I don't think he's like that.
Yeah,
like I think Marab
but there's a story there. Marab is a story. The UFC is not good at selling that story. And I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what more. I think it's easier to sell
pay-per-view draw.
Yeah, I feel like
to
the point, there's a simpler storyline of being like, this guy's like in the GOAT conversation, not the GOAT, but in the GOAT conversation, and here's Sean O'Malley's opportunity to knock off like a real legend. I think that could sell. So maybe a little bit elevated above Marab. Marab's been doing a good job selling the O'Malley fight. I feel like there's something there. I don't know. Anyway,
I think he's gonna get it, but I would be deeply amused if they gave it to Jose.
I know this. Jose Aldo wouldn't get that fight without re-signing for a decent length of time, for a decent amount of fights. So it's going to really come down to that anyway.
You would have to finish his entire combat sports career.
You have to sign 8 fight deal. 100%.
Not necessarily. He'd have to sign a 6-8 fight deal, but they'd still probably let him be like, I'm retired, let me go box. I'm like, okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
They already let him do it.
Yeah, but he's not like But boxing on Fight Pass, he doesn't have really 100% control of his boxing career. It's not like he can.
Yeah,
jump
but
on
I think
he can't jump on a Jake Paul card. Okay. Well,
I still don't know how the contracts really work in this regard. I would be fairly surprised if they allowed them to match boxing deals. And if he can go box Floyd Mayweather, which is like a thing that was out there for a little bit, you should do that. That would be a better choice for you.
They can't. I don't think a boxing deal applies. I think it would be an MMA deal, but there's a matching period, right? So Jose Aldo could theoretically
he still has to wait. But
I'll wait, and then we're fine, and then he could sign anywhere.
And they could. I don't know how long that matching period is.
9 months to 12.
Well, yeah, which means they could freeze him for a year, which he might just, which would, prize fighting business. All right.
I don't know. He's just spent 2 years sort of frozen, so it's fine. We'll find out. We're gonna find out because it'll play out over the next couple of months.
All right.
All right, I'll take a couple more. Let's rifle through these.
Yep.
Oralby versus Jalen Turner. Jed, defend your son.
He's not my son anymore. We put him up. We went full Drake and just abandoned him. We can't support Jalen Turner anymore.
Dropped him off at the fire station.
We just had to let him go. I love Jalen Turner. I treated him like a son, and all I ever got was sadness in return. So we, unlike with people, I don't want to say names. I don't want them to know that I'm disappointed in them. But former 8-time BJJ world champion, you might know her. I have given up on Jalen Turner. He's out. We can't do what you did against Money Moicano and still be my boy.
All right.
That fight sounds cool.
I actually think that fight's not bad.
This kind of goes back into it right here. It's kind of a similar question.
What do we think about Oralby? I think bro could be a serious problem at 155. I'm telling you guys for a hot minute about this guy. Yeah, he's good. He's a little raw, but still very, very good. Once he puts it all together, it's gonna be tough for anybody to beat that.
Dude, he's 26. The guy's gonna fight for a belt one day.
Oh, 100%.
Say that again. I want to hear. What did you say?
He's gonna fight for a belt. He'll fight for a belt.
Wow. I didn't see that tonight. I just saw a guy who.
He's 26.
Yeah, he's raw.
I was gonna say I don't know if I saw that, but I'm also like not expecting to see that, right? Like it's way too early for me to feel like, you have to show that in this fight.
You know what you saw? Do you know what you saw tonight? You saw a guy whose name you can't spell and who's wearing a funny hat. And the hit rate of people that match that description and being top 5 fighters is 100%. So
and he outdogged Elvis Brenner tonight, which not a lot of people thought he was going to be able to do.
Agreed. Like I walked away like impressed, but I'll agree with Casey. Like I didn't see necessarily future champion, but I'm also not expecting to see future champion in this part of his career.
I don't know if he wins the belt, but I think he does end up fighting for it.
Yeah,
he's only going to improve leaps and bounds from what he was tonight. He's still pretty damn good.
Lightweight just has like a lot of dudes that are waiting for a fall off.
Yeah.
Like Gaethje, Poirier, Oliveira, to an extent, Gamrot, because he's a little older than people think. Dariush, like that's the top 5 outside of Arman and Islam, and all of those dudes are not that long for the top of this weight class. There's just
but lightweight also just has all these dudes that are just like not ranked that are like fucking sick. Like they're nasty. Yeah. Like they're just like so good. Like ridiculous. It's crazy.
I don't hate the Jalen Turner idea. That's not what I would do.
It's fine.
I don't want to jump in. What do you think like Orby?
I think it's a little too fast just because that's a ranked fight. It's his third fight.
I'd give him Drew Dober. Drew Dober's the fight for me.
I was thinking Drucker. I was thinking close. Same card. He was timeline should line up. Drucker Close has got to fight somebody. He seems to be good still. I know no one's excited about Drucker Close, but
no, I kind of feel
where
like
the upside of that fight isn't like enough, right? Like there's a certain point where it's like that's actually like a tough dude who it's not gonna vault you that much, and then it's almost like you're kind of defeating the purpose, you know?
Yeah. So I'd be good with Bonfim.
Yeah,
Bonfim fought on the card.
Yeah. Kind of
like a top 30-ish dude.
I feel like it's a step back from Brenner.
I don't think so.
Nah, I think
Bonfim's a little higher.
I had Brenner at like 25 in my rankings.
I think
Brenner
is a step.
Brenner went out and beat the hell out of Guram Kutateladze, who I put him very high on my list.
That was
what he did in that fight was unbelievable.
Yeah, but that was one of those ones where he was just a dog, right? Like he won by just being an absolute dog in the third round.
Man.
He's just a crazy
wild.
He's just a shooterbox guy. Like those guys are they're awesome. I love
is
that.
Really keeping that spear alive, and I respect the piss out of it.
Yeah,
like just whatever, bro. I've been getting my ass handed to me for 10 minutes. Still here. What you got?
Yeah. Okay. No, not still here. I'm gonna be better now. Like I'm ramping
coming.
up now. This is when I'm shining. You're done. You're toast.
All right.
Yeah.
One quick super chat that's off topic of this card, but real quick.
If Dustin wins next month, what's his legacy? How do we view it?
Oh man, that changes everything. If Dustin beats Islam Makhachev in his perceived prime, yeah, that'd be insane. That would Dustin's legacy is rock solid right now. He's probably the best guy to not hold undisputed. Like, is there? Do we have anybody else who's in that combo that I'm overlooking right now? Like, disrespectfully,
At lightweight. Or
no,
just
just
in
like
general?
who are the best guys to not hold undisputed gold? Is he probably the guy?
I'm trying to think. I used to have a list.
If he's
of
not
this.
the guy, he's one of those, right?
Yeah,
Like,
he's right
up
there. He's right there. There's probably someone else, but
yeah,
he's right there.
certainly
for sure.
in that conversation.
if he gets it, it's game changer. It's like the legacy looks insane on paper. Like just
the
the
second best
level of
lightweight ever.
competition he faced.
I don't think he's the second best lightweight ever, but it does bump him up several spots.
That's all right.
It's a big. It would be massive for his legacy, like really massive if he could do it.
I wish I could find it. We did on some. I don't remember what we were doing. Maybe it was a ranking show or something. I just put together a list of the top 12 lightweights of all time, which is fucking insane. That it's just the best people you've ever heard of, and it was so hard. It's like 1 and 2 I think are very bulletproof and no one can touch them. Like they can touch them, but like I think that they're pretty clearly it's Khabib and BJ, and then it's everyone else. And then there was just like 6 dudes in a tier, and I think that win would definitely elevate Dustin up to either 3 or 4, as opposed to being kind of in the rest of the tier of lightweights.
Would he not pass BJ at that point? Just
I'd
look
put him
like,
over BJ.
and I'm just looking at we're talking a number one BJ.
Yeah, I know.
fan
I'm with
here.
you. I'm with you.
You're a
I'm with
BJ
you
guy
on this,
too.
man.
Yeah, so that's a lot
like,
for you to say.
Dustin,
If
Dustin's
he does,
resume,
if Dustin passes him, then I think you have to put Charles above BJ too.
I think
I don't have it. I would say that Charles's career is equally as good as Dustin's. Like
Charles is so
even if Dustin
uneven.
wins.
Yeah,
Charles is.
it's tough. Yeah, because Charles
I
has
don't
so
know.
many.
Charles
I
has a
don't know.
weird career, but like if you're just
And
talking
I-
his lightweight career, not the featherweight part
Yeah.
of his career, just
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
lightweight
You're fair.
career.
That's being fair.
I think it's better than Dustin's currently, certainly. And even if Dustin gets the belt, if he gets the belt and drops it like immediately, if he gets the belt and defends, sure. But I think it elevates him. Absolutely elevates him. I'd have to really lay it down to where it is, but I just default to BJ because BJ was the best lightweight in the world for 8 years. So
the prime was insane for BJ. Yes,
yeah,
certainly.
it's unbelievable. But like lightweight's such a good division that it's hard. Khabib is sort of the default number 1 because he never lost, and that's a huge feather in the cap. But
think
like
that's fair.
everyone just
It's
beats
fair.
the shit out of each other at lightweight, so it's not like there's a dude who has 10 title defenses.
Yeah. Even for Khabib, it's not even the losses, the dominance of the wins, but I completely.
Yeah.
Habib is a rightful one. No
Yeah.
debate, no
Yeah,
issue.
exactly.
Like, that's
I don't think
fine.
anyone's debating that,
We
yeah.
can all say that. Where he ranks in
Yeah.
the GOAT combo is different, but like lightweight, Habib for
Yeah.
sure.
Okay.
And then the
All right,
rest
we'll
of
take one
lightweight's
more.
tough. But
One
it
more.
would be
We gotta-
huge for
we gotta
Dustin to
get
win
out of
it,
here.
This is quick.
and it
real
would
quick.
legitimately be awesome.
Blachowicz versus Smith, Pantoja versus Bakayev.
Cool. And one quick just comment, because I like
Just
this
one.
from Forrest Daniels.
Of course, this car went from C on paper to a B+ live. Jed Meshew is an American treasure and an icon of MMA media. Mike Heck is
I'm not
incredible
that.
as well.
I love you.
Thank you. Much
I'll
appreciated.
accept
Very
being
nice.
called the treasure. I'm certainly not an icon of anything, but
Not yet.
I love you
not
nonetheless,
yet.
Forrest.
Do you feel like American treasure is below icon?
I do. Because
Okay.
treasure is really just a statement of, your vibes. Like I treasure you. Whereas icon is, like it's an icon. Like it is a widely accepted thing amongst a broad consensus of populace.
But some
guys.
conversations I've had in my life, some rank icons, like compare icons to chickens, while others compare American treasures to goats.
Mike, it's funny you say that. Actually, John Jones is right now on Twitter talking to people and responding to comments. And somebody asked John Jones, John, what's most important to you legacy-wise? Your impressive win record or quality of opponents? Certainly people are acknowledging the quality of opponent here. John says,
John,
I would say the quality of opponents. The majority of my MMA record are title fights. That's what makes it rare. And you know what? It's hard to argue with that, John Jones. Like having every fight be a title fight is an impressive thing. And yeah, John Jones, the GOAT. Good answer there from John Jones. I like that happened 36 seconds ago and right as we're wrapping up for this. And so Jed can't reply and we can end the show.
Can you
now.
go back to the tweets where he's trying to pick a fight with Alex Pereira, former UFC middleweight champion at heavyweight?
Listen, he knows
Can you go back to the tweets where he's like, I'm not all that interested in interim champion Tom. I don't even really think that he's an interim champion. Who cares? It doesn't mean anything.
He's just playing the game. He's just trying to negotiate. And Alex Pereira is the guy right now. It's okay. You know, we'll get there.
As we exit, look me in the eyes. Do you honestly think he will ever fight Tom Aspinall?
I actually do, but
Wow.
I don't think it's like I
hope
don't think
you're
it's
right.
a guarantee by any means. I don't think it's a guarantee by any means. But I actually ultimately do think he will fight Tom. I do.
I hope you are right.
think-
but if he wants
and I
to
think
fight
it's
Tom,
more-
he should
I
be
think
trying to
it's-
fight Tom now and not fight Tom later because he is only getting older.
I think it's less about him and more about the fact that I do think Tom will elevate himself to like a tier where it will be you have to do John Jones versus Tom Aspinall. I'm very high on Tom. I believe he will get there, and so I think they'll ultimately fight.
Tom needs to get real petty and just start dropping diss tracks.
No, he just needs
He's been
to
doing
ignore
okay.
John altogether. He's the champion. John doesn't exist. That's how he gets
No,
the job.
that's the wrong strategy. No, you need to
then you
coax
get it.
John into the fight. That's the absolute wrong strategy.
Pluck
Yeah.
like a chicken at him every time he talks.
Yeah, you act like John doesn't exist in this world, like he is not a person, and then
The
that's
music
how you get
ended. We can leave and we can stop talking
He
about
is-
John.
He's a
Jones.
person. He's the GOAT. John Jones, the
We,
GOAT.
we've been
Everybody
off air
knows.
for like 30 minutes. No joke.
Thank God.
it. We love you all. We will see.
Love you all
tomorrow.
so
On
much.
to the
Thanks for
next one.
staying with us. You're the best.
Bye-bye. We did 90 minutes on this card. We love you.